Cool. Episode 12. This one is a Gale episode. It's a little bit like the Helen back with the Doctor. It's kind of like this is Gale's. Same thing, but with Gale. So we know that Gale is kind of sticking around in town because she's investigating into the fire and her parents' death. So that's kind of what this one's about. This is one of the ones that wasn't aired originally, and watching it, I don't know why, because there's not really anything that I can think of that kind of makes it difficult to have on TV, like compared to some of the other episodes. I mean, like they have more, intense images or whatever. But anyway, so this one is sometimes number 20, but it should be number 12, so we're watching it now. It opens with Gale, and she has every single candle you could possibly find lit in her room, and I was just like thinking, I really hope her clothes are not polyester, like that's just a fire trap. Anyway, Gale tells us that she feels like she doesn't have the strength to keep looking into her family's death. I think she's kind of afraid of what she's going to find and not sure, with the sheriff, like what she's getting into. So previously she found the key in the car, and she has the key around her neck, and when she touches it she has some visions. So we open on one of those with a baby telling her to save him from limbo and to keep digging. So she wants to quit, but she keeps getting this these little pushes to keep digging. But just before the credits we see Sheriff Buck right outside her building, and I kind of wonder if the trail that sort of runs through this episode is set by him as a trap for her. But you'll kind of see what I mean as we go. So we open on her with Mrs. Gardner, who's like the archivist or a librarian, and I was just thinking, like, I love these people that just know everything about town and work in archives or libraries or whatever. Like, they're really cool people. So Mrs. Gardner is like, you're not really going to find anything in this kind of paperwork, and suggests that she looks into genealogy. I don't know if it was mentioned before, but the newspaper that Gale's parents worked for was called The Guardian, and her parents were really into trying to out the sheriff. So I don't know, just that was interesting. So Gale has her best, like, cute little black top on and a little black print skirt. It's a very 90s look. And she heads over to Lucas Black's epic house. I didn't realize at first. I thought she was going to like a library or something. But anyway, she breaks in. There's a taxidermy crow. There's creepy statues. Just like magic books lying around and stuff. It's kind of like, it reminded me of something like from Harry Potter, like Snape's office or something. But Lucas confronts her for breaking into his house, and he's like, why don't you just ask me? I think we all know, Lucas Buck, why people don't just ask you. They're not going to get a straight answer. But anyway, there's a very flirtatious little thing going on between the two of these people. I'm not really sure why, but anyway. There's a scene where it's very windy at the start of this episode. It's kind of like, October weather or something. And Caleb has his long sleeved striped shirt on, so his stripes are weather appropriate. I just thought that was really funny. Anyway, Gale kind of throughout this episode has moments where she's thinking just about just giving up and leaving and not trying to find out anything. So yeah, she kind of asks Caleb if he would want to move away with her. She mentions Miss Holt, so I guess Miss Holt is still a thing, but it's been quite a few episodes since we saw the actress that plays her, so it's kind of weird. But I don't know, he's just such a nice kid. He tells her that Merlin told him about what the sheriff is capable of, and that Merlin is apparently gone now, so that's a bit sad, because I like Merlin. But yeah, I guess Caleb's starting to tell people that he could see his sister after she died, Gale calls Lucas Buck and says, okay, please tell me stuff. And Buck gets Ben to tell Selena that he's not going to make their date that night, which is funny because then she busts him with Gail in a restaurant. Like, it's like, you can't get away with stuff like that in a small town. They get down to brass tacks anyway, and the sheriff says that she has to make a deal with him, which, you know, that's never a good thing. She sort of semi-agrees to it, and he shows her a vision, but when she's about to see the vision, she starts to kind of like clench her knees and stuff. Like, it's oddly kind of, I don't know, implying something. Gail sees her mom hide letters in a box, so that's what the key that she has around her neck, that's what that goes to. And then she sees someone hit her mom, so later she has a nightmare that her parents rise from the grave like zombies and tell her to find the murderer. And yeah, the doc is there with her the next day. He's like holding her hand and stuff. So I guess it's implied that they're starting to have some kind of a romantic relationship with each other. And I kind of wonder again, like, did the sheriff send her that nightmare so that she wouldn't leave town? I don't know. He has a trench coat thing going on in like, I think like the last episode in this one. And trench coats were a real thing in the 90s. I think of like Blade, or even like teens with trench coats were sort of meant to be sinister, so he's going for that look a little bit. The sheriff takes her to the old summer home, and he kind of warns her she's not going to like what she finds. And there's an envelope taped to the wall behind a bookshelf, and I'm like, that's so convenient. Like, he's laid this trail for her. I just feel like we can't really trust what we find, but I'm not sure if we're supposed to get that from this episode or not. But between that and a file that our friend the doctor gets for her from the medical records, and a vision that she has as well, we learn that there was domestic violence in her family that she's sort of forgotten, and that her mother was pregnant at the time that she was killed in the fire. Gail still thinks the sheriff has something to do with it, and he sends her to her old house. She has her like mom jeans on and her t-shirt tucked in, and she sees Gage, so that's Caleb's dad, and her mom like kissing on the doorstep, and then her dad comes home from work and burns her with a cigarette. So she tries to sort of tell the doctor about her vision, and it's so funny. She's like, I had a vision. I saw my father. And he's like, have you had lunch? And I was just thinking, like, this is why he's so great, you know? He's like, maybe you are seeing visions. You know, it is Trinity. Maybe you just haven't eaten. Maybe you're just hangry. He's so great. Anyway, she talks about how she remembers their life when she was a kid as being this, like, idyllic childhood. But then she's upset because the vision says otherwise. And then this just felt kind of awkward, but Selena just like walks in and assumes she's upset about Buck and like warns her off getting into a relationship with the sheriff. I guess it's kind of important considering like the sort of the end of the episode, but I don't know. I just felt like in the hospital people just walk in, like it's so weird. Anyway, she has one last vision, and she sees her dad stopping her mom from leaving him. So yeah, she ends up finding the box of letters in the old burnout office, and we finally kind of get the full story. So basically, because Gail's dad was so horrible, her mom wanted to leave but knew that, you know, it wasn't safe. So she put Gage up to burning down the paper, like office of the newspaper, while Gail's dad was inside. And then Gail's mom and Gage could like run away together. But what he doesn't know is that Gail's mom has been knocked out. So when he burns the sheriff's office down, he burns down the office with his lover, her husband inside, and their unborn child. So yeah, there you go. Pretty dark. I have a feeling the sheriff had something to do with that, because that's just, you know, you kind of know that's something that he would engineer. But anyway, Yeah, so we find out what happened to her parents and that it's not the sheriff's fault, apparently. But also she made a deal with him. So we just see him walk down the hallway to her door and he like goes to walk in and she doesn't let him in. But we realize that she knew he was coming and she just says that she's not ready. So I'm like, what deal did she make with him that we don't know about? Intriguing. It's not going to be something good. I kind of thought she would not be so susceptible to him, but I don't know. He did kind of say at one point like that she can't leave because he doesn't want her to, and you know, he's kind of says that to people. The music box that she has the key to, the song that it plays is Beautiful Dreamer, which, you know, fits because she has visions and she's attractive, you know. And the title, Ring of Fire, I guess it's kind of obvious because, you know, if you know that song by Johnny Cash, it's kind of about like passionate relationships and stuff, but I feel like it kind of fits the relationship that Gale and the sheriff are starting to have, but it also fits because he says that it wasn't hatred that burnt down the paper, it was love. So it's kind of lame, but we'll allow it. And just a little special mention to Deputy Ben, because he's such a goof in this episode. He's just so oblivious. It's like, he's just a good character. So that is episode, where are we up to? 12. Yeah. Exciting stuff.